Everyone, it's Libby from Meister Tarot. I'd like to acknowledge the Worimi First Nations people. It's WORIMI, and welcome to you, your guides, my guides, and the universal energies. Okay, what craziness do we start with today? First of all, North Carolina. Do apologise. I think I said West Virginia, but it's North Carolina yesterday in regards to the 65,000 votes that Republicans are trying to get rid of in regards to the Supreme Court appointment, the North Carolina Supreme Court. Yeah, let's change the rules after the election, and therefore we can claim that these votes weren't legitimate. So what's happened is the actual Supreme Court of North Carolina have halted the votes being tossed out and has given the Electoral Commission or whomever it is 15 days to obtain proof of identity for those particular votes. Now, this is a race where the gap is about 700. So please, if you are in North Carolina and you suspect one of those votes is yours, please attempt to make contact with the authorities. Okay, what else do I have a look at today? I'm actually going to start on something a little bit different this reading. I am reading this book. This is just the dust cover. I've got the book here, mainly because I just always take the dust covers off the books when I read them because they're just too much of a pest because they flop around. But the fourth turning is here. Reading that at the moment, I'm not sure of that far in, so I'm not terribly far in. And I must admit, it's a really interesting book. However, if they had written it, it's like reading a university doctorate thesis type thing. If it had been written in simplistic language without all the repetitive and the padding, you'd be looking at a book at about a quarter of the length and probably have a much wider appeal. But it's a really interesting book. And the reason why I say that is one thing that's really caught my attention is about the cycles and the process of the cycles. And what they're talking about, where I'm up to, is the fact that the US goes into one of these dramatic shifting cycles, which is what we're right in the guts of at the moment, in one form, and they come out in an absolutely completely different form, but a better form. So just understand that that's what we're going through at the moment. So if I go through the eras themselves, with the formation of the United States in its various forms in the 1780s. So we're looking at 80-year cycles for the US. In the 1780s, late 1780s was the revolution, where they went into it as a rabbled under the monarchy authority, etc., and came out of it as a United States, as a United States. So they've gone in one form, come out in another form. In the 1860s, so that was the 1780s, 80 years later, in the 1860s, the US itself went into the Civil War as, first of all, a country with a portion of slavery, etc., but a very divided country. So it went into the 1860s, the Civil War era, as again one form of country, and it came out the other side completely differently, completely different. I'm not going to go into the history of it. If you're in the United States, you should know your history, and if you don't, I'll leave it for you to actually research yourself. The next turning, the next major catastrophic moment, which when you're going through, when these people would have been going through it, would have felt absolutely horrific and scary and life-changing, was 80 years later, the 1940s, or the mid to late 1940s. World War II. Went into World War II, from what they're saying in the book, as a gone through the industrial age, but sort of limping along, not particularly strong country, going into the at the end of their industrial revolution. age, gone into the 1940s, and came out of World War II as a global powerhouse and a global leader. So again, gone into as one form, come out as another. So what we've got now, the 2020s, 80 years later. So the US seems to have these 80-year cycles. Now, I do know in the book they say 80 to 100 years, but if you actually look at the dates, it is 80-year cycles for the US. And the current cycle is the 2020s. So the mid 2020s, it was the mid 1940s, the mid 1860s, the mid 1780s, and then coming out the other end, completely different, but better. So that's what's happening at the moment. Is the US is going into this cycle. Actually, you're mid through it. Is what we're seeing from the outside, that you're mid into it, into this change in the tearing down of one form of empire that is building up another better form of empire. And that it does mean that we can't cling on to what was. We have to ride it like a wave. Says me who doesn't surf, but my husband does it. We need to ride it, take our opportunities, go with, protect ourselves, but go with the flow as we go through this changing era. Now, interestingly enough, in the book, they also point out that halfway point, about the 40-year point between these two major cycle changes, there's a minor cycle change, still dramatic, but on a more minor scale. And I'm not going to go to the past ones, but I'm going to talk about halfway between the 1940s and the 2020s so you're looking at the 40-year era. Now, that 40-year era between the two cycles was the 1980s. The old greed is good, the Reagan era, the collapsing of the Berlin Wall and the USSR, but very much about the technology advancements. This is when computers became, not necessarily household, but the development, Wi-Fi, computers. There was this huge, if I say revolution, but it wasn't a war revolution. And that's what I'm really feeling with this 2020s. It's not a war revolution, but it is a really intense shift from one era to the other. And I'm just going to say it's painful. Absolutely, really painful. But like the other eras, um, uh, it's like giving birth to something new, and birth is painful. Another analogy that I was thinking about today, because I was this morning, went driving with my daughter to go shopping, and we went through some quite major roadworks, and it was cutting the lanes down to one lane. And so it was, oh no, traffic jam, sit, crawl, crawl, crawl. But then when we got through and they opened the lanes back up again, everybody just exploded forward. And that's what's happening at the moment. Now, it's not going to be a pew type revolution, the one that's the US is going through now. It's not going to be civil war. There is unrest. I mean, there will always be rumblings in this type of change, but it's not a full out North versus South, US versus UK type, or the rest of the world versus Germany, Italy, and Japan type war situation. It's not I'm going to say it's not a bloody war. There is loss and potentially loss of life as well, but it's not this standing up against each other and shooting at each other type war that we're going through at the moment. And to be honest, I mean, we have been at war with places like Russia for the last 5-10 years or so. Cybersecurity war, um, uh, dominance around the world type wars, etc. Not war, but conflicts. So I do see that this is an incredibly massive era that we, on the global stage, are going through. But it feels to me like this traffic jam type thing where we're sort of funneling in and in this intense energy. But then when we get to the other side, we just burst forward into all that can be wonderful. So I am actually going to throw some cards on this. I'm going to use my own deck of cards just to get some clarity on what I'm seeing. Now, I am also going to mention a headline. I'm not going to read on it, but a headline that my guides, again, in the shower this morning, I did ask them, is it just wishful thinking or is it actually going to happen? And it was literally a media headline. Trump is dead. Capital letters, bold print, top quarter of the page. And I did say to my guys, is that just wishful thinking? Because every morning I wake up and hope there's an obituary there, and there isn't. And all they kept doing was showing me this headline. I can't tell you when, but it is coming. It feels, and if I say it feels close, it feels like it's this year. I still do believe he will have some form of vascular event, like a stroke or something. Will end up in a place like Walter Reed. I keep seeing him in this grey vinyl armchair. It's not leather, picking at the piping on the arm. Big picture window beside him. Dreary day outside. No friends and no visitors, etc. I keep seeing that image. I can't throw that image. I don't know that he will be there for long before he actually passes, but he will be there long enough. Let me just put it that way. It will be long enough. Did I say entertainment only? Now, I was watching Gary from Twin Tarot yesterday. He did a health reading on Trump, but yes, he did get the vascular card as the energy over at the moment, which is the Three of Swords. And then he had the final card of the Nine of Pentacles. And Gary was talking about, I hope you don't mind me leaping in here, Gary. Gary was talking about uh, overindulgence. So this is what leads to Trump's ill health, was overindulgence. And what I was there at the screen going, with Gary, because what I really got from that card, and I know it was Gary's reading, so I'm just going to put this, with the Nine of Pentacles, it is in the gilded cage where you are in luxury, so you're being looked after, and to me that felt really like being looked after at somewhere like Walter Reed. Now, Pentacles can also mean health, so in this cave and having your health looked after, that's what it really felt like to me. And if you think of the card, I haven't pulled it out in the Rider-Waite deck, it's the peregrine that is hooded, so cannot see, and it's Jessie, so it cannot fly. Just putting it out there. And as I'm shuffling this deck, we've got the health, and we've got coming out the bottom, loss of health. This big bag of health, it's got a hole in it. I'm just going to say. Now, these cards are, if you like them, it's in the ... more section. There's a link there at Etsy. If you put maighstirtarot in at Etsy, you'll find them. But let's have a look. I'm not pushing them. It's just if they appeal to you. So let's have a look. Show me this 20s. Okay, I'm just going to, guys, what is you want that card? What is the message that you have for me in regards to this 20s? Oh, they're a bit slippery, these cards, I must be honest. Okay, come on down, let's have a look. And I'll put these cards out in the order that they fell out of the deck. I just move that so the light's good. This one was first. What have we got? Security, home. So we're talking about the 2020s. Oh, okay. A breakdown of security. If you can hear Bindi, she's scratching herself on the carpet. Yeah, the security, the security on the home front it feels like it's under attack. Feels like it's under destruction, but I do also wonder whether this is the security on the country level, homeland security. Now, I'm not talking about homeland security as in an invasion or anything like this. This just feels like there's this massive disruption of the complacency. Okay, I'll use that word then, guys. They want to use the word complacency on the home front of the United States. Now, it wasn't that far long ago that we were going through the COVID lockdowns, etc. And I remember basically we were told we were going to get locked down, went to the supermarket. The shelves were literally stripped bare, so you just got whatever you could. And I remember getting a 2 kilo bag of rice, and I got a couple of tins of, stewed meat and vegetables type things. And I got a couple of packets of frozen vegetables, whatever I could lay my hands on, and some powdered chicken stock and some powdered milk. And I said, right, if worse comes to worse, and this is all I can get for the next week for a family of 3, we can survive. Wasn't great, along with what we already had at home in the pantry, but we could survive on that. So if you're looking at stocking, don't go stupid crazy, but 2 kilos rice, a couple of tins of stewed meat, maybe some powdered milk, and you can and you'll be right. Okay. But what at the moment, now this card came out the other day when I was talking about, I can't even remember what I was talking about. It was a similar type reading. Okay, it is going to be transformative. The process that the United States and ergo the rest of the world is going through at the moment is going to be transformative. You are not going to come out the same as what you went in. Think about the change between under the monarchy and as a united republic. The change between the divided North and South. I mean, some people would say that divide still isn't over, but, pre-Civil War, post-Civil War. The United States with its depression, pre-World War II, post-World War II. At the moment, we're in that crossover stage, that transformative stage. And part of that transformative stage is the complete breakdown of the systems that failed, so that they cannot be papered and plastered over, so that they cannot be band-aided over, so they can't be propped up with a tomato stake up the back of it. They have to be rebuilt from the bottom, and they will be transformative. Take comfort. Interesting card to come out at the moment, but take comfort in the knowledge that the country, the world has gone through this before in different form, but each time we have come out stronger, better, newer. Goodness me, sound like the $6 million man. We can rebuild him stronger, better, all the rest of it. Yeah, this is what we're going through at the moment. Take comfort that there will be freedom. Freedom small, perhaps, but magic will happen. Take comfort in the freedoms that are opening up for you or that are available to you. Today, the sun is shining, the birds are singing, went clothes shopping because my daughter was looking for a particular jumper, which she managed to find. Dropped into the supermarket on the way home, filled up my car with fuel. Still, I could still do all these things. This was all still available to me, despite the anxiety of what is going on. So take comfort in your small freedoms, the everyday freedoms that you have, because that's where you find the magic. That is where you find the magic in the everyday small things that you have to be grateful for. That you flick the switch and the lights come on. That your fur babies greet you at the door with love. Okay, things are moving very fast. I will not deny that. It is moving at breakneck speed. We're in this compressed timeline, and I'm going to say because we are on the wrong timeline, we had the option of being on a different timeline here. We had the option of being on several different timelines, actually. We could have, with the election still, because I am an election still knower, if the steal hadn't taken place or had been prevented and we had Harris, there would still be the underlying issues that needed to be overcome, but they would have been overcome in a different manner. Probably taken a lot longer, could have taken all of 4 to 8 years to overcome, whereas we're really looking now at 4 to 8 months. Felon 45, when he got in, could have decided to implement all that he's implementing over a 4-month presidency, and we would have been like, frogs in the slowly warming pot. Instead, what's happened is he's compressed it into literally, again, the 4 months, which makes all us frogs jump out of that pot really, really, really quickly. So he's compressed it because, or those behind the scenes have compressed it because there is an urgency for them to get this implemented, because they thought they were going to get this all done last 4 years, that they would have had the last 4 years to get this all put in place. But because they didn't, because they underestimated the size of the vote for Biden, it was too big to rig. They rigged it, but they didn't rig it big enough. They thought they were going to have the last 4 years to do all what they're doing now. Because it got delayed 4 years, there is this real urgency to get this work done rapidly, to step into this new energy. I mean, the Russian envoy dude that looks like the Nazi of Indiana Jones and the Ark of the Covenant. He's doing the rounds around the world trying to get sanctions lifted because they don't have any money. So there is this real urgency to get this done. So things are moving incredibly rapidly, including the communication that's coming out. But we are hearing the feminine message. We are fast shifting into hearing this feminine message of community and compassion and coming together, and the masses are coming together. Feminine doesn't necessarily mean female, it just means this we the people energy, not I the oligarch, it is we the people. So this is why the protests are gathering momentum. The future in this is not yet written, because we still do have paths that we can take, paths that are opening up, and we have, as a masses, choices. If we all decide to stay home from the protests, there will be one particular path. If we all decide to go out and protest, there is another path. If we all decide to, anyhow, I'm just going to good, what does Benny call it? Good trouble. If we decide to engage in good trouble, there is one path. If we decide not to, there's another. Because the United States at the moment is at a crossroads about which way it can go forward. And it is time to decide what side of history you want to come down on. It is time for the money via giving help. Right. Okay. The swamp money. It is time for the money that via market manipulation, via obscene contracts, speaking of which, Fleon just got another DOD contract worth billions of dollars. But this money, this swamp money, giving it to your mates, is going to face a lightning strike. It's going to be struck down because it is time. But the choice is still here. The future is not yet written, and this card is practically in the middle. It's not quite because I don't have a middle one there. But you've got the masses on one side, crossroads at the other, the feminine energy, time. The future is not yet written, but it is time for this moneyed helper mate. Jobs for the boys is what we call it in Australia. As in, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, and you do me this favor and I'll give you this multi-billion-dollar contract, etc. It's time for it to be over. It's time for it to be over and the cowards to fully expose themselves and be stopped, because that's what they are. Cowards. Pam Bondi, case in point. She was holding a press conference, I believe, today. She was asked about the 75% of people that were sent to Venezuelans that were sent to El Salvador. 75% had no criminal record, despite what she might claim. He was asked about them. He walked out. Talk about enormous chicken. Bok, 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 bok. She walked out. And it's the same with felon 45. If he does not like the answer of something, he will just ignore it and ask for the next question. Now, in Australia, our journalists, if somebody asks a question and the politician bypasses it, talks in gobbledygook or refuses to answer it, and they point to the next journalist asks the same question. We have this integrity amongst our journalists where they don't let them get away with it. Journalists have each other's back. Doesn't always happen, but it happens enough. So this cowardness, it's time for it to end. Absolutely. These empty, sad, miserable souls, it is time for them to end. We've got a rebalancing of the scales. Or is this justice in the past? Oh, justice in the past for the greedy and pretentious. It is time for it to end. Getting away with breaking the law because you've got money, it is time. In the past, they've gotten away with it. It is time for it to end. Space, overseas, families, let's see where this goes, foreign lands. Okay. So the justice in the past for the greedy and pretentious in regards to is this conflicts, or is this space people, ergo Fleon, heading off overseas and taking the family with them to foreign lands? We've got the wealth, the key, the fate and destiny, the difficult message, going to be subtracted, happy, Male leaders. Okay. Does this smirch of Saudi Arabia for you? Wealth being the key to their future fate and destiny. The difficult message is they're going to be subtracted, but I don't think they're going to mind. Male leader, female leader, and no, I don't think they're going to mind. They're going to end up somewhere in the sun, but they're going to out of the rebuilding because of the devil energy that they have, the devil energy and the pile of manure that they've dug themselves into. So I think what's going to happen is that they're simply part of this process. Wouldn't we love to see justice? But the likes of Fleon and I do think Fleon, Yarvin and Zuckerberg are going to have asset seizures, but they're not going to be out on their backsides. They're still going to have money. So I do see them going to foreign countries, but and they'll live comfortably there till the end of their days. I don't ever see them in prison, which is, but I don't feel that they will be part of the new cycle. That they won't be part of this exploding out of the gates after the traffic jam new cycle. They will live comfortably for the rest of their days as kings and queens or whatever of their own little paradise. I'm just getting, but their dynasties will end. Does that make sense? Their dynasties will end. So let's have a look. Is there anything? I'm using the Smith-Waite Centennial deck. Just tell me, is there anything more that we need to know about this? Is there anything more that we need to know about this? Let's have anything more we need to know about this. Let's have a look. Secrets being revealed. Secrets being revealed. It's going to take strength and courage and working together to get through this. This is about knowing that there is more, but keeping a lid on the emotions, keep patience. This one card can also mean patience, but this is very much about not allowing yourself, be aware but don't get immersed, not allowing yourself to get in this spiral of fear and dread, etc., because things are really, really going to change. And it's not for the worse, but we have to go through this loss and downfall to get through to the new. Oh, but yeah, good time to research history. Not going to be easy. I've been saying this for a long time, and I think a lot of readers have been saying this for a long time. Possibly because of the way we deliver it. Maybe it doesn't feel so dire because it's not actually dire. It's the only constant in life is change. It's just we're in this intense change at the moment. So it feels like we're getting bombarded from every angle. Don't allow yourself to succumb to fear or worry, because worry, I love the analogy someone said to me was worry. To worry is basically sitting in a rocking chair and rocking back and forwards. You don't get anywhere for the amount of energy that you expend. So this is about looking after you, looking after your community, noting down what it is that you can do. And if you can, take action. If you can't, let it go. And we will get through this. And it is very much bursting out of this traffic jam into this. The wide open road is in front of us. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I know I'm sounding really positive because I believe it will be. We just have to fasten the seatbelts and grit the teeth and look after self, and we will get through. Look after self, look after neighbours, look after community, and we will get through. Okay, love to you all. Catch you shortly.